Thanks very much for joining us. So what drives our politics and determines the outcome of campaigns? Some people claim it's issues like the economy. Others say it's partisanship. But judging from the persistent criticism about the news media coming from across the spectrum, lots of people believe it's the media setting the tone and narrative. So let's talk about that and other media-related topics with our guest, Northeastern University journalism professor Dan Kennedy, who co-hosts, along with journalist Ellen Clegg, the podcast What Works? The Future of Local News. Dan, welcome. Good to have you.
Thank you, John.
Appreciate you coming by every once in a while to talk media with us. So obsession with alleged media bias has been a hallmark of the right for decades. Lately, though, it's the left that seems angriest with us. The argument is made that the media, quote unquote, whatever that really means, is excessively focused on Joe Biden's age and cognitive issues, not enough on Donald Trump's problems. Is that fair?
Well, you know, it's funny. I've been criticizing the so-called liberal media for years for engaging in both sidesism, but it's gone so far beyond what's rational. It's just absolutely incredible. We have seen, especially in the last month or so, this vociferous outpouring of defense of President Biden aimed at the media to an extent where we're starting to call them blue MAGA.
Blue MAGA.
Yeah.
Huh? Well, last time you were here, as I recall, you had some criticism of the emphasis on Biden's age.
Yes.
As I recall, you said something along the lines of, okay, we get it, he's old.
Yes.
Do you feel differently now?
Well, sure. I mean, I do think that the June 27th debate changed a lot.
Right.
And a lot of us who believe that the president's age was being overemphasized suddenly looked at this and said, wait a minute, there are things going on here that we really hadn't been told about. Now, I have to say, I think the media's focus on Biden's age over the last few weeks, although it's completely warranted, it's been so overwrought and over the top that I still don't think that they've covered themselves with a lot of glory. Remember when the New York Times and CNN were breathlessly reporting that this specialist in Parkinson's disease had visited the White House 8 times. They had to back away from that. Let's not get ahead of the story. Report what's happening, and at the same time, there ought to be a little bit more emphasis on Donald Trump's numerous deficits as well.
Well, I wish I had $5 for every time I've heard someone say in the last few weeks, oh, the media, again, the media, covered up how badly diminished Biden was. Is there any validity there?
You know, there's been some reporting on how did the media miss this. And I think it's a combination of a couple of things. I think, first of all, there are news outlets that tried to get at this, and you recall our friend Mark Leibovich wrote about this in The Atlantic.
Yeah.
Ezra Klein of the New York Times has been emphasizing.
Wall Street Journal did some good reporting.
The Wall Street Journal was too reliant on Republican partisan sources.
But they had it right.
There have been attempts to do this. I think we have a combination of the story was just too hard to get at, and I do think that to an extent the press didn't want to know what they were going to find.
We've got to take our break, but what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is the press, like everybody else, understands that democracy is facing an existential threat in the person of Donald Trump. And, you know, the only person who was in a position to stop him was President Biden.
And then that sounds like bias.
Well, yeah, I suppose it is.
Okay, on that note, let's take our break, and we'll continue our conversation with journalism professor Dan Kennedy in just a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back to our conversation about the media with Northeastern University journalism professor Dan Kennedy. So, Dan, let's talk a little bit about debates. We've had one notoriously presidential debate, another one supposedly set for September. And also the conventions. We're taping on the day of the final day of the RNC. Democrats have their turn in August. After that debate, that debacle with Biden and Trump, there was a lot of criticism of the CNN moderators claiming you should have been fact-checking in real time. Trump, as is his habit, was spewing a lot of untruths, to say the least. I've been a moderator for many political debates. I don't believe that's the moderator's role, but what do you think?
Well, it almost doesn't matter what I think, because there's been reporting that it was well known to both candidates ahead of time that CNN was not going to try to do real-time fact-checking. And supposedly the Biden camp asked for it. CNN said, no, we're not going to do it. And the Biden people wanted this debate so badly, irony of ironies, that they accepted that condition. So when that happens, it's up to the candidate to fact check his opponent.
That is my view as well. That's part of the information contained in a debate are the candidates up to that part of their job?
That's right, and President Biden proved himself utterly unable to do that.
By the way, some friendly advice as an academic: you're never supposed to acknowledge that your opinion doesn't matter. Let's keep that quiet, okay? That's a closely held secret in academia. All right, what about these convention speeches? Now, CNN, which has been apparently criticized, they have one of the better fact-checkers in the business on their staff, Daniel Dale. They frequently give him lengthy segments to do fact-checking, but not really in real time as they're carrying these speeches. Should they be doing that?
I think it's wickedly difficult to do it in real time. You're going to miss stuff. You're going to do fact checks that prove out wrong later. I think you need to give yourself a little bit of time to get it right if you're going to do a fact check. So I have no problem with that.
One thing I think maybe is missing in this whole conversation is the responsibility of the news consumer. And, you know, people want to sit down and be delivered the entire package, but it's not hard to hop on your phone or your laptop, click, 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 and you can do some fact-checking yourself. Is that asking too much?
Yes, that's asking too much. I mean, I think that if you're watching news coverage of a political convention and the networks are capable of offering fact checks in maybe not real time but close to it, then they ought to do that.
Yeah. Well, look, we're just about out of time here, but we've talked often over the years, you and I, about political coverage by the media. You've had a lot of criticisms of it. There were a lot of people saying, come on, this time around, you should have learned your lesson from past campaigns involving Mr. Trump and so on. What do you make overall of what you're seeing so far? Has the media done well, poorly, or somewhere in between? The media, I'm sorry, that's such a generalization.
I mean, as we know, there's no such thing as the media.
Right.
And as a result, I've seen some good coverage, I've seen some terrible coverage, and I've seen a lot of things that are middling. It could be better, could be worse. Do I have time to mention one spectacular piece of reporting that I saw just today?
Real briefly.
The New York Times visual investigation of the attempted assassination. It makes the Secret Service and local law enforcement look unbelievably bad, and it's just well documented. It's riveting. I recommend it to everybody.
Well, check it out. Professor Dan Kennedy, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Always good to see you, and glad to have you joining us right now. Stay with us as I send it over to my colleagues for more WBZ News.